Hello there again. This is obviously I do UFOs and that's what and propulsion systems. That's what I'm really keen about. I'm just checking my see my little cat's gone. She's lovely. She couldn't see if I would do it. She should have. Hello, sweetheart. Oh, she's so nice. Anyway, this is just about the pyramids, and we all know pyramids, Giza, but this is a little bit what you won't see anywhere else. Hopefully not anywhere else. I've wasted my time. But what you do know is that I'm not going to go in the size and the maths to it. It's absolutely incredibly brilliant. If you get a chance, do look at the maths. Tesla, Nikola Tesla, the proper clever one, he looked at it and said there was it was not a propulsion, an energy device. And if anybody knows on this planet, whoever have been knows anything, it's Nikola Tesla. And if he said it's an energy device, you can bet your bottom dollar it was. It was brilliant. Anyway, moving on from that, as we all know, the pyramids in Egypt aren't just four; they're eight. They've got incredibly. It just points out a little bit in the centre, which you probably know that already. Anyway, but what you'll probably see coming out now is that some of the stones they show you it's worn, but look, it's actually melted. The stone itself, the steps down, are melted, not actually worn. And I've known this quite some years. I was fascinated in. I'll get on to this in a minute. Yes, you like this? Hope so. Anyway, and at the top of the pyramids, right at the top, aren't just normal limestone. They're blue. The actual blue stones, exactly the same. The centre sort of stone what's in the um, stone circles at Stonehenge. Why blue? Well, blue is an incredible stone for holding energy, for holding recording things, holds energy. Soft stones is brilliant. Obviously, if we know this, if you University of Nottingham guys, they made a device that actually used a soft stone like a tape recorder and try and see if they can get history from it. And they sort of pulled the plug on them. Oh, that was years ago, by the way. It was 30, 40 years ago. So obviously people have moved on now. Anyway, back to the blue stones in right at the top of the pyramid. No more blue stones in the pyramid, just at the very top. And when you think that's solely for resonance, that's all it is. It's just solely because they knew that absorbed resonance. I think I'm saying that right. My English is awful, isn't it? But and just the same in Stonehenge. You can imagine Stonehenge. You make a fire and you chant, and as you go around the fire, then it's noisier because you chant around the fire, and these stones around you would absorb it better. Obviously, they didn't chant at this period, but they certainly had a frequency. It's always mad on frequency. The pyramids are three up the sides and certainly inside as well. Now, going back to the melted steps, which you can clearly see now. Um, I've never been to pyramids, by the way. I've seen that many pictures of it, so I've sort of covered it. But the stone steps coming down, some of them are melted. Well, if you think about the best way to break the stones up, it's not cutting them. They didn't cut them. That's not, and they didn't vibrate them and make them level. There wasn't witches and did spells on them. They did spells, but they didn't do it to do the moving. The easiest way would be to put tubes and put acid and that's even way to this day. Nobody speaks about this, so I thought I'll mention it. But if you see on the stones, you'll see lots of yellow, lots of lines going down. It's where they would have put a tube in, probably a bamboo or something, and just keep mounting the acid down. And acid is so easy to make. Literally, if they were able to line those pyramids up the stars, they were able to make acid. I can make acid. You make acid, which is very easy to do, and they would have done that, and they would have loosened, and they would have cracked the stone, a couple with normal tools. Then they would have just smoothed it off. Not an easy process, but it's certainly doable. Really easy, even I could do it. So that's how they broke them. And something else which they don't really tell you, and just outside, just from the pyramids, there's huge, great big holes where they would have put weights down to actual another stone to pull that one up, and then leverage it up and down. Now it tells you this, so you can see how there wasn't a little green man made this pyramid. It was us, but somebody but they were clever a long thousands of years ago, much cleverer than we are now. Somebody worked it out how to do it, and they've lost the technology. Well, they knew what these guys were. There wasn't whether there was from got these ideas and they're clever Sumerians and that lot. Probably well was where they came 1,000 years prior to that. Who knows? But I believe that's how they broke the stone. I'll get to where I'm getting in a bit because that's all quite interesting. I find it interesting. But I think I'm explaining that because I think that's it. Even though it's going to levitation in a minute, I don't think levitation broke the stone. I think it was acid. But when you make acid, you can easily make hydrogen. And that's the key. And that's why I believe Tesla was right. But he didn't explain what I'm saying here. I wish he had. Would have saved me 100 years. Because I think what they did is acid, an acid, and then you basically you can charge it up, and then you start making hydrogen from that very easily. And that's the hydrogen waste, if you like the steam, if you like, from it coming up the tunnel, and it's escaping, not going down. It was made at the bottom where the water was. The water, that's why they put it there, diverted it under the water, so they could specifically make hydrogen. And then the steam went up the tunnel and mounted the steps. And when you start making hydrogen, you've got an energy now. And you think about the lamps, what's inside the pyramids. They say they're electric and all this and blah blah blah. If anything, they were using the same principle for the lamps. You see, and but why did they master such incredible technology, and what do they do with it? That's the thing. Now, when you think about the frequencies, what goes up the sides, and there's blue stones, when you start looking at making hydrogen energy, and remember that the first one did explode. They've proven one of them did actually explode, and I believe that because they were making hydrogen. I wouldn't say they're making any bombs because there wasn't. They were making hydrogen energy. They wasn't making fusion. I'm not going to say that. They were making something I probably wasn't aware of. But energy from acid and hydrogen is so easily then. You've already got the water underneath the tunnels. So you've got the lighting. And once you do that, you can probably start transmitting energy. You can imagine it through the pyramid. You've got the energy coming out the side. So if you did come from a lost planet and you just want to get back, well, say hello to your mates up there. Ideally, you want something with some velocity to make a vortex to send the signal up. And with that being there, going upwards and through the centrifuge, I can see it happening, like a large radio telescope, sort of thing. But everybody to their own. But moving on, which is thought I'll bring that. But when you talk about the pyramids, what I love about the pyramids, not actually the Egyptian ones. My favourite one is St. Louis in America, outside of Mississippi. Have a look at that one. That is, there's a book, and it's American Antiquities, and it was 1830, and some guy wrote about it and described ancient Indians saying, yeah, it was a landing pad for an ancient being, and you can visually still see the landing pad around St. Louis where the pyramids. Have a look at St. Louis pyramids. They're brilliant. They're not going. You can see the top's a bit missing, but you can see the size. They're absolutely huge, and all around the Mississippi area, there's a lot. There's not just one or two like Egyptians. This area's got a lot. It always gets dismantled and dismissed. Same with I mean, we know about the South American pyramids. They're there for all to see. St. Louis pyramid should be at the top because there's a lot more of them. And when you consider that's exactly the same principle as the one in Egypt, and the same principle I believe in South America, just done different. And then we've got them, so they say in Europe. I've been looking at them, can't decide, but it looks like we've got them in China. How about the one in Pakistan? They've got a Sphinx with that one, and honestly, it looks. You can see it looking like that it's worn, and it probably even could be older. I don't know what the archaeologists would say about this. They'll probably dismiss it all and say it's just a rock, but it isn't. You can see there's a face on this Sphinx, and there's a pyramid there, and in fact, Graham Hancock, was it in Indonesia somewhere, and he says it's the oldest one. You can see it going up this hillside, absolutely brilliant. I think about 50,000, whatever million. It's older than me anyway, and it's huge. So basically, so they're everywhere. They're in the entire world. So all these people, where they couldn't so-called have planes and boats to communicate, so they say, but they communicated somehow, and they built the same blinking style, the same thing. Why on earth would they do that if they couldn't communicate with each another? And knew, so somehow somebody flew around the world, or telepathically passed it on. But there's certainly and therefore it makes you wonder if that is the technology from there originally. I mean, I think the acid and that lot, when they came, like Sumerians or somebody came down, they probably didn't have the technology, but they had the brain power to work out how things are done. Because obviously bronze tools weren't going to make anything, so I thought, hold on, we need to do this quickly. They worked out the acid. They knew the acid method. The hydrogen. They just went straight into the technology they had, used what they got around. And the thing about technology, you know, the first nuclear thing, they didn't actually need to make anything. It was basically the most radioactive chemical was actually on the ground in an African country. I can't quite remember. You could just go and pick it up. I think it's all gone now. I think the scientists about picked it all up. So basically, you go back a million years, it was like a rock, an old mountain. They're not sure why it turned into like some sort of radioactive reaction, but the remains of a nuclear element were all across the ground. So they didn't need to make anything nuclear. They could just pick it up, and that's what they did. And they had quite a radioactive rock. And I used to say, going to what we're saying, that the Egyptian guys, before that, probably Sumerians, before that, probably an alien being, picked this up, or even made the nuclear reaction, and left that there and picked what they wanted up. But it's there. If you have a look, it's true story. It was there. Radioactive rock. It was fascinating, and that's where a lot of the world's scientists got it from initially. There's none left there on the floor now. Can imagine taking it back up right there. They might do customs. God, excuse me, mate. But it was there, and it's fascinating. But I'm just saying, there's that much technology what was accessible. We didn't even including a nuclear reactor if we knew how to put it together, and if they were able to do that, they were able to put one of them together. You see, and so where did they came from to think like this way when everybody's making bronze tools? So it's all right for me to think like this, or you or anybody else, because we live in a modern world. We have a foresight and see things around us. But when you go back 4,000 years and just using bronze tools, and someone comes up to you and say we're going to make some sort of nuclear reactor and make frequencies out of hydrogen reactor and communicate with somebody in another solar system, I think what's going on here, you know. But yeah, but they certainly communicate with other people across the planet, because how on earth would they be able to build the same blinking things? They couldn't, could they? That's the thing. Odd, isn't it? But yeah, true story. If you get a chance, have a look at the one in the rocks in Africa. I can't quite remember where it is. I forget names, but they existed. They're not there now, and it's a natural nuclear reaction. Um, the archaeologists may dismiss it and say it's probably some kangaroo peed on it or something. I don't know, but no, it's totally true. True, it really was. But it's brilliant. But there's something else I've got to tell you about the pyramids before I forget. I'm always not raving about the Bible. I never push it on anybody, so it's everybody else. But I look at Bibles and I look at codes in the Bible, so I'm not going to go into those too much. There's codes everywhere. But I will go into one bit. If you get a chance, you'll like this. Look at 8833. Its coordinates. I can't remember if it's 33 or 83 coordinates or 8833, but if you put in the coordinates when you do it right, 88 or 33, whatever, vice versa, you'll suss it out. You'll come across, but it's put in Tibet. These are coordinates, but years ago when you found these coordinates, can't speak. As always, you'll find it's Google Earth has put a cloud over it. But if you keep looking and keep looking, hopefully Google will get tired and you'll see it. Hopefully they've got tired already. But what you'll see is some scraping going down. Scrape. It's brilliant. Well, if that coordinates was something I found in the Bible some years ago for something, what it was something what landed there. And if you having to guess about it, people always say that arcs in that big funny boats in Turkey. No, it's not. I don't know what it is, but it's not. If you think about the ark as an object, and it's a flood, and the first bit it's going to land on will be the highest bit in Earth, because everybody's flooded, which is Himalayas, which is there. And if you look at 3388 or 3388 or 8833 coordinates, it will take you to there. Well, what's interesting about that, not even if you dismiss it and you get a chance to look at those lines, it's only a bit in the old area where these lines, you can see something scraped down to this edge. Literally, you can see something from some object, and right side of the line is a dead end road, not a road, but some dirt track. We can see some vehicles been going up and down. Remember, on a mountain, there's nothing there. There's nothing at all. That's a dirt. You can see there's some vehicle dirt tracks, and the object's been moved now. It's gone, and Google tries to cover it up with a cloud. You think, but even if you dismiss that bit, if you look around closely, there's lots of other religious things. You get a lake called Jesus Lake, God's Lake. It's got all sort of religious Mount. Buddhist mountain. I forget the name now. I shouldn't do. It's very rude to forget. It's a lovely mountain. You're not allowed to climb it. Buddhist mountain. What they preach to is just not far away. And when you consider there's a race, there's a people, Tibet, not far away from them, and they do look like a European North African descent people that like Chinese or Tibetans around that area, and you mix all these things together, it sets alarm bells off, doesn't it? But I found that, and I look at Bible and look at codes a lot. I work, but I still spend time mucking about. But hope you like that. It's totally true. The accordance is totally true. We're not allowed to look at it. We get arrested. It's in Tibet. So don't go looking for it. Chinese arrest us. I don't think you're allowed to walk around. I think you have to have a guide and things. And talk about getting arrested. The CIA in the 70s, early 70s, 80s, had a big op looking for the Ark, and they took, I think, so many hundreds of thousands of photos. And guess where they took them? Well, Himalayas. And that coincidence. But obviously, they didn't play with the coordinates. They had a helicopter and a camera to look for it. A lot more easier. But more fun than my way then. But anyway, if you get a chance, have a look. All those pyramids are totally true. They are in China. They are in Pakistan, and the St. Louis is absolutely one of my favourite ones. There's quite loads around Mississippi. Nobody talks about it. Graham Hancock, Owen Benell. I suppose there's that much to talk about, but St. Louis in America is absolutely. I really love to go. I've never been. Never go anywhere. But yeah, I like to visually see that one. I've seen some pictures and I've looked at the maps and drawn where the said to talk. But yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, yeah, it's a magical place. And anyway, I like the story. And the thing with the hydrogen is perfectly true as well. Yeah, and the thing with the holes, I don't know whether they're talk about, but they are there, big holes. And I know you say, "Wow, nobody talks about it." I know, but it's true. You can see there's big shafts where they would have put a weight down, several ton weight, and then they would have come up with other ones, and then they would have pulled off and on with the ropes and put these stone up and down. That's how they've done it. Not brain surgery stuff, and certainly not levitation. I mean, I think the guys who built it, designed it, was to do with understood levitation and frequency, but they didn't need that. They had us to build it, didn't they? use people. It's like being at work, isn't it? Anyway, I hope you like it. All what I've said is totally true. It really is. But if you get a chance to look at the maths, I ain't shown the maths. I ain't meant to be bore you to death with that, but because there's a lot more clever people with maths, I tell you, it's absolutely brilliant. It really is. It just the maths to the pyramid is astronomically brilliant. It really is. It's mind blowing. But they never mention the hydrogen. I tell you what, a chap recently died who took an engineer down, a German engineer. What's his name? Can't remember. Fand or something. Anyway, he took photos down there. I think 70s was it, down at the bottom of the pyramid, and he was the first one to say, yeah, there's water down there. Even years later, they dismissed it. But I mean, they know now. They admit that the Nile's diverted round to it underneath it, because I think it's hydrogen again. But anyway, God bless. I hope you like this. I'm trying to think what to call it. I haven't got a clue. We've covered quite a few things there. I might call it Lost Ark. Yeah, because to be honest, it's odd not to talk about the pyramids and the art, because when you consider what the Moses tablet and everything else in the pyramids and everything else and what they found and artifacts, it's hard not to join them both together. I find, yeah, I sort of wamble on with them both together. Anyway, interesting, and especially when you consider where the pyramids are lined up to. When you look at all the three pyramids, when they line up to, It takes you up to that way as well. I forgot to mention that. Juice into it. And how would they know? You see, yeah. If you look at the angles from the sides, you get 3, and it looks like it's too fine, but you'll find out it goes that same way. Very peculiar, but hey, it's a funny old world, isn't it? Anyway, you like the story, and God bless. Trying to think what to call it. All sorts of things. Anyway, thank you. God bless you. If you do get a chance to subscribe, that'd be brilliant also. Thank you.